We are at a very important moment in history. Communism is dead. Capitalism is now the world's economic system of choice. The question that stands before us is, what will capitalism look like? Will it be self-centered and greedy? Or will it consider the people and the planet? At this unique turning point, we must decide. Will we be compassionate capitalists?
From the beginning of their partnership in business, Jay Van Andel and Rich DeVos have tried to be compassionate capitalists. They attempted to strike a balance between people and profits. They cared about the earth as well. The very first product they developed was specifically designed not to pollute the environment. They wanted their grandchildren to live in a pollution-free environment and believed that enough people also felt that way that the product would sell. And as their company grew, the impact of their environmental decisions helped change the world. In 1989, the United Nations gave Amway the UN Environment Program Achievement Award. Rich and Jay were grateful, but surprised. They didn't set out to win awards. They only attempted to do what they thought was right. Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel knew the secret. We can solve the human and environmental problems that plague the earth when each of us dare to follow our conscience.
Why should we help people to help themselves?
All over the world, there are people in need. We all, at one time or another, have experienced this need. How can we respond? What are the possible options? We ignore the problem? Does that help? We often feel guilty. We can respond in anger. Does that help? We often feel shame. We can donate money, but that often perpetuates the problem itself and may even reduce the receiver's self-esteem. What is the appropriate response? If our goal is to end suffering, what can we do that will actually help?
We've been talking about making a better living. That's capitalism. But compassionate capitalism takes you one step further. We care not only about making a better living, but about making a better life. We believe in helping others to help themselves.
When we share our time and money to help guide, teach, or encourage someone else,
We are only giving back a part.
of what has already been given to us.
Therefore, be a mentor. Whom could you help to reach their goals?
to see their dreams come true.
When we help others help themselves, we fulfill the promise of capitalism and enhance our own lives in the process. This is the testimony of people helping people all over the globe. In Russia, people who understand free enterprise are helping the people who once lived under Marxist socialism to help themselves. The richest and most powerful woman in Argentina, Amalia Fortabat, is bringing hope and healing to her country by helping her people to help themselves. And back home in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with the help of her husband, Steve, Pat Zifferblatt found personal fulfillment and financial success by helping others find physical and emotional wholeness. In the true stories that follow, we see firsthand people helping people to help themselves. St. Petersburg, Russia, a city of monuments to the dead and new hope for the living. Once the capital of Tsarist Russia, St. Petersburg was renamed Leningrad in 1924 as Marxist socialism began its drive to conquer the world. Half a century of economic suffering followed, but with the death of Lenin's dream in 1991, the people of this brave city reclaimed its name and its hope for a better future. This is Mrs. Era Kama, a director of the shareholding company Marina.
Our company was founded in December 1990. It was exactly coincided with the changes in Russia.
Mrs. Era Kama and 28 of her fellow beauticians and hairstylists once worked for the state. They had dreams of economic prosperity, but no way to realize those dreams. Then, with the end of communism and the socialist state, these brave women borrowed money and bought their business back from the government. Now they are the proud owners of this large beauty salon on Nevsky Prospect in the heart of old St. Petersburg.
Well, we cannot describe that future, but we hope that, brick by brick, we will build a good future for this company.
This is Mr. Okredyshenko. He and his co-workers borrowed money to buy their factory back from the government. Now with borrowed capital, a creative vision for the future, and days and nights of hard work, Mr. Okredyshenko and his co-workers are building their future. The old line of drab, functional furniture has been replaced by a whole new line of elegant and creative designs. It's still a struggle, but their investment in free enterprise is already paying dividends. The people of St. Petersburg, Mrs. Arakama, Mr. Okredyshenko, discovering free enterprise as they struggle from tyranny to freedom. And how will they succeed? An unseen army of compassionate capitalists, businessmen and women, technicians, consultants from North America, from Europe and Japan, are there to help them. One more example of people helping people to help themselves. Amalia Fortabat is the wealthiest woman in South America, and by any measure a remarkable person. From her home in Argentina, Amalia runs a vast cement and cattle empire. Since the death of her husband Alfredo in 1976, she has worked tirelessly to run the Loma Negro Cement Company, doubling its capacity and expanding her businesses to include cattle ranching, gas, and railroads.
It's important that people recognize that a woman alone had achieved a lot of things that some men never achieve in life, and that's part of success.
Amalia Fortabat, or Amalita as she is known, is renowned in Argentina for her philanthropia, her vision of compassionate capitalism. She calls compassion the act of closing the circle.
But for me, closing the circle is when you come to the human being, and when you have done all those things that are successful, and you're famous, or no, you're not famous, you're simple. And it comes when you care and come in touch with a suffering human being and try to do the best for it.
Amalita's father was very socially conscious and inspired Amalita's efforts to make the world a better place. But her husband, she says frankly, never really learned to close the circle himself.
I asked him several times, why don't you close the circle? And he said, well, one day. Yes, but time passes. Why don't you close the circle and build a fantastic children's hospital? But very special, very, very. And after he said, well, we'll see.
Amalita, however, decided to give to the people of Argentina something of what she and her late husband's business had earned. She says earnestly, I have learned to give back what I take, and that, she adds, is closing the circle.
The first meeting of the board, 5 days after my husband passed away, the first thing I said was to the other members of the board, I was the president, that I wanted to build a children's hospital with Alfredo's name on it.
Mrs. Fortabat uses her wealth to help people help themselves. She supports a wide variety of health care, education, and housing programs. She has built kindergartens, daycare, and medical centers around her country. She has set up vaccination centers for children and is currently building that children's hospital of her dreams.
Giving is rewarding. That giving is the most essential part of the human soul. So when you're doing that, you are doing what they asked of, what they expected from you in the beginning.
Mrs. Fortabat is a compassionate capitalist who believes with all her heart that the solution to her country's needs is people helping people to help themselves. Her example is changing the lives of Argentinians and bringing new hope to the world.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Better Life. I'm Pat Zifferblatt, and I'm your chief cook and bottle washer today. And
Capitalism is the only economic system that rewards people for doing the right thing. Pat Zifferblatt, for one, knows this is true. And trust Pat, it's never too late to start.
I have 6 daughters and 3 sons, 10 grandchildren, 2 great-granddaughters. You're talking to an old great-grandmother. Here's the toast. The toaster came over on Noah's Ark with me.
Pat is the co-founder of Better Life Institute based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She and her late husband Steve founded the institute to help people be healthy and live longer. They were already among the country's leading health experts.
I had gotten involved in that health business when I got sick and tired of being fat, sick and tired. And then I decided that if this was going to be my avocation, I was going to make it my vocation.
The need was obvious. Millions of Americans were overweight and millions more on diets, leading them toward cancer or heart disease. Pat and Steve decided to help these people live happy, healthy lifestyles.
As my husband Stephen used to say, roll up the sleeves. Roll up your sleeves, decide what you want to do, and then do it. When my husband Stephen and I began this program back in 1986 here in Michigan, we had a dream to be able to develop plans and programs and products for people to be able to live a healthier life, to put years into their life and life into their years.
Steve died recently of cancer. The disease he worked to prevent in others took his own life, but his legacy survives.
And together we put together a behavioral change concept, understanding that people could make changes in their lives and help themselves. Too many people in America feel that they want to have it done to them or done for them. They don't want to do it for themselves. Then you're going to take this information into the communities, into the schools, into the churches, and teach other people, not only in your classes, but by your example.
Now Pat, with her clear sense of perspective and boundless energy, travels the world lecturing on the preparation of heart-healthy, low-calorie foods. For Pat, filling real human needs has been profitable, fun, and fulfilling. Steve's dream lives on.
The idea of sharing truly is why we're here on this earth, to share and to give. Not just to give away, just to give, and not let people help themselves.
People helping people to help themselves. Pat and Steve Zifferblatt built their Better Life Institute on this foundation of compassionate capitalism. By helping others find physical, emotional, and spiritual wholeness, they found financial success. But even more, in the process of helping others, they found purpose and meaning for their own lives as well.
The more I give away of myself, of my worldly goods, of whatever it is I have, the more I get, the more I give. Isn't it amazing? It's almost as if that which you give is truly blessed.
Have you ever said, I would like to help someone myself? Whom could you help to reach his or her goals? To see his or her dreams come true? How do you feel when you help someone help themselves? Compassionate capitalism is making a better life for you when you help someone else.
Why should we help those who cannot help themselves?
Many times we reach out to help people, and we don't always see the results at that time. But by continuing to offer them that help, you and they will oftentimes be surprised as to how well they do.
At the age of 19 months, Helen Keller was stricken with a disease that left her blind and deaf. Losing all ability to communicate, she descended into an abyss of silent darkness. There was no way for Helen to help herself. She had to be led up out of darkness by her loving teacher, Annie Sullivan.
Annie herself was only partially sighted, but she was bright and creative and determined to be a teacher of the blind. But like her famous pupil, Annie Sullivan too needed help to reach her goals. She couldn't teach Helen without being paid, and Helen's family had no money to pay her. We all know about Helen Keller's courage and tenacity. She overcame enormous obstacles and went on to inspire countless others. We all know too about Annie Sullivan, Helen's determined teacher. But there is someone in this inspiring story that history has forgotten.
The man behind the miracle worker, Annie Sullivan, and her brilliant pupil, Helen Keller, was Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor and compassionate capitalist. Without Bell, there would have been no miracle story to tell.
Alexander Graham Bell recognized a need and reached out to fill it. He gave money to support both young women on their journey out of darkness. Why did he do it?
Bell was the son of a deaf mother, the husband of a deaf wife. He invented a device to help them that made him one of the wealthiest men in America. Alexander Graham Bell believed in Annie Sullivan's talent and in Helen Keller's potential, and he validated that belief with financial support. People who help people to help themselves.
Alexander Graham Bell helping Annie Sullivan to help Helen Keller inspire the world.
That is compassionate capitalism at work.
We believe in helping others who cannot help themselves.
When we share our time and money with those in need,
we increase our own sense of dignity and self-worth.
And we set in motion positive forces
that bring hope and healing to the world.
Therefore, be a giver.
What are you doing to help end human suffering in your town and around the world?
For many people, no matter how hard they work or how many times they try, they just cannot help themselves. But when someone reaches out to help them just a little, we're often amazed and surprised at what those same people can achieve. We'll meet Dr. Luis Damatas, an American heart surgeon with a compassion to provide used hospital equipment to those who could never buy it for themselves. The volunteers of the West Michigan Gleaners who buy, package, and distribute food for the hungry. Gene Proctor and the folks at the Baxter Community Center who work to meet the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of those in their neighborhoods. And in Honduras, the good people of Free a Family reaching out to help others in need. In these true stories, we see firsthand people helping people who cannot help themselves. Dr. Luis Damatas bridges two cultures, one beset by economic need and the other blessed with abundance. Dr. Damatas, born in Argentina, is a thoracic surgeon at Butterworth Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan. In Argentina, hospitals go without many necessities. In America, hospitals throw out good equipment. Dr. Damatas saw this inequality as an opportunity.
So these are cannula tubes that you use to connect the heart lung machine with the patient. And these are the tubing. All these are extremely expensive. We don't use it anymore because the sterility has expired. Re-sterilize again as good as new.
In a typical month, with the help of his wife Gretchen and his daughter and son-in-law, Dr. Damatas will load a shipping container with used hospital beds, wheelchairs, and medical implements. Stored temporarily, they're shipped free of charge by an Argentine shipping company and delivered to various rural hospitals around Argentina. And who accomplished this logistic challenge? What well-organized committee of experts?
I am a great believer in the committee of one.
Dr. Damatas skipped the formalities and did it himself. Seeing the abundance of things in his newly adopted land, he felt compelled to act.
Why do I do this? It's because I thought, what would happen if I don't do this? Given our nature, our love for the people, our sympathy with the one who needs, it would have been much harder not to do it.
Seeing a need and filling it is a very important part of compassionate capitalism. Most people think of hunger as a third world problem, but don't be fooled. Hunger lives here in America. Our abundance of food has often been wasted while people right here at home go hungry.
The best guess is that there's about $22 billion of food in this country that is at risk of being disposed of because of cosmetic imperfections.
This shocking discovery got people together. The United States government, manufacturers, retailers, and private charities started looking for a way to get unmarketable but perfectly good food into the hands of people who needed it. The result was a creation of food banks nationwide. The West Michigan Gleaners, a member of that network, distributes food to over 800 churches and charities.
We currently have 8 warehouses scattered across all of West Michigan and the Upper Peninsula. Handle about 35,000 pounds of food a day.
The unique thing is that they gather food from the manufacturers and act as a compassionate middleman by selling the food to charities for a nominal 14 cents a pound. The West Michigan Gleaners, in partnership with the manufacturers and the charities, can feed a family of 3 for about 3 months for only about $150. Hopefully, that will give that family enough time to get back on their feet.
Organizations like ours really help everybody win.
Food manufacturers can benefit from what might have been a costly mistake. Caring charities can save money, and needy people get fed. That is compassionate capitalism at its best. The Baxter neighborhood in Grand Rapids, Michigan is typical of inner-city neighborhoods across the nation. Baxter is beset with poverty and the problems endemic to urban America. In Baxter, 81% of the residents live below the poverty line.
A large portion of the population that we serve kind of live in a world of their own defeated hopes. And we know from experience that hopelessness and despair are the breeding grounds for a lot of disruptive behavior.
But all is not lost. Baxter is full of capable people who want to make life better, but they need just a little help. Fortunately, the Baxter Community Center is doing just that.
We kind of view ourselves somewhat of an island of hope. We do that by providing a Christian response to human need. And in some of the areas that we attempt to do that is with our child care, with our medical care, recreational program, and a host of support groups. With our community service component that provides emergency food and clothing.
You would be surprised at what someone throws away and how quickly someone else can use it.
We feel that we have a real significant part in what goes on in this neighborhood and providing hope to what appears to be, for a lot of folks, seemingly hopeless situations.
The Baxter Community Center stands as another example of compassionate capitalism at work. In economically underdeveloped countries, where do you start? Believe in people's ability to help themselves and watch what happens. High in the mountains of Honduras, the little village of Guachapilén is far more productive than its neighbors. Why? With a little help from Fria family, Romario and Clementina Ramera Solta are revolutionizing agriculture in their area. They have learned that creating terraced land improves crop growth. Before the new partners began working together, the cropland was nearly barren. And now, this is the result of people help themselves. By encouraging self-reliance, Fria family is making a real difference in urban areas as well. In the capital city of Tegucigalpa, Victoria has become one of its newest entrepreneurs. From her tiny restaurant, she has a hard time keeping up with the orders for fried plantains and bananas. Nearby, in the impoverished San Pedro district, Doña Nina sells homemade tortillas and bananas from the doorway of her tiny one-room apartment, reinvesting some of her profits in a food program for her neighborhood's children. Both Victoria and Doña Nina were destitute until they provided the will, and Fria family provided the capital in the form of a small business loan, around $100 to $150 to their new micro-enterprises. It's good to earn an income in an honorable way, says Doña Nina. Fria family doesn't give handouts. They give a hand up by fostering self-reliance. As Doña Nina says, it helps me build a better image of myself.
People who help people who cannot help themselves are also entrepreneurs. They are social entrepreneurs. They use their gifts, running their business well, and make sure the dollar is well spent. So if you believe that this is where you're headed or where you are, remember, you are an entrepreneur too. In your case, your profit is in how many people you are helping.
Why should we protect the planet?
To see the earth is to see a master's hand. A world constructed by an ingenious inventor, part physicist inventing gravity, part chemist inventing fire, part biologist inventing life. To see the earth is to see a world created by an accomplished artist, a painter working in real watercolors, a musician fashioning exotic musical instruments, a sculptor using wind to chisel granite, marble, and sandstone. But this world is not some experiment in scientific innovation, not simply an exercise in artistic design. This world was made for us. It was meant to be our home, a place to work and play, a place to enjoy and experience all the possibilities our Creator has for us. It was given to us. We are the stewards of Earth. We must cherish it as God's gift to us, honor it as God's masterpiece, utilize its resources for the care and feeding of our own, and protect it for future generations. This place is our home. We watch over the planet because it is a gift from our Creator.
We believe in helping to save the planet.
Our island home.
When we share our time and money to help preserve and protect the planet, we really help to preserve and protect ourselves.
Therefore, be a friend of the earth. What could you do today to help preserve the planet?
Our company, Amway, has always cared about the environment. We pioneered in products that would benefit and not destroy the planet. But I have to admit, we did it for two other reasons. First, because our families live on this earth and are dependent on it. And second, it's just good business.
Even as a child, I learned from my father that the earth is one of God's great gifts, and it's our job to be responsible stewards of that great gift. Now I've taken my father's responsibility as president of the Amway Corporation. He's passed on that legacy of caring for the earth to me.
Hi, I'm Dick DeVos, and at Amway, we think one company can make a difference.
Our support of the environment begins with a policy that spells out our commitment in both fostering and promoting sound environmental stewardship. Amway's Environmental Council, made up of specialists from across the various disciplines within Amway, is always at work monitoring our environmental commitment.
At Amway, our products always follow our policy. But take, for example, our original product, a liquid organic cleaner, we call it LOC. It was the world's first biodegradable cleaner. Today, everything we make or market is made under stringent environmental guidelines that exceed the strictest government regulations. We were among the first companies to code plastic containers for recycling. We ship many of our products in concentrated form, so they can be diluted and dispensed from reusable containers.
Every once in a while, you run across an idea that you wish you'd thought of, like this one. At Amway, we use this stuff as packing material to keep the products that we ship to our distributors safe in transit. Plus, the great news is it's also biodegradable.
We also reuse waste paper to make electricity in this cogeneration plant. The rest we recycle too into a variety of products, like these newsletters. We even use environmentally friendly ink.
Amway and its independent distributors also promote environmental responsibility by supporting institutions worldwide. Amway is completely committed to environmental education as well. Our Class Act and Earth Teacher Awards programs have recognized outstanding students and teachers all over the country. And what have all these efforts produced? A great deal.
I am pleased to present the UNEP Achievement Award to the Amway Corporation.
I was proud as I watched my father and his partner Jay Van Andel receive the United Nations Environment Program Achievement Award in 1989. It was the fulfillment of a lifelong commitment to compassionate capitalism and the environment. Proof that one company can make a difference.
What can one person do?
What can one family do?
To help the environment. It's about knowing. Knowing what the facts are.
To
Did you know 1 gallon of gas can contaminate 1 million gallons of water?
Only 3% of the water on Earth is fresh water, and most of that is in the ice caps.
The largest single source of waste paper collected for recycling is corrugated boxes. It's about changing. It's about changing the way you think. About the stuff in your life. Did you know if we recycled all of our Sunday papers, we'd save 500,000 trees a week? Homeowners use 10 times more chemicals than farmers.
The average American family throws away 100 pounds of trash every week.
Glass that's not recycled will still be here in the year 3000.
It's about doing.
Doing some things saves you money.
Getting a handle on home energy use could save you enough for a family vacation in 3 years.
And you save 2% of your heating bill for each degree you turn it down. Install a low-flow shower head and save 14,000 gallons of water every year. Consolidate trips, plan errands, drive less, and have less stress. It's just not that hard to do.
Some things won't save you money,
but they feel good. Setting up a home recycling center is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Install a couple of these anti-air pollution devices.
Can you tell polyethylene phthalate from polyvinyl chloride?
We can.
I can too. It won't save you much money, but it feels good.
Knowing, changing, doing.
Doing little things. Little things that make a difference.
For the future.
Little things.
It just feels good.
The earth is a gift, a fragile gift from our Creator. Handle it with care. Your life to count? Are you already wondering if anyone will be at your funeral to honor the memory of your life? You're not going to be around forever. Have you ever asked yourself what will be written on your tombstone? When you reach out to help this planet or the people on the planet, when you do good for others, it's really for your own good.
Jay Van Andel is known around the world as a compassionate capitalist. His distinguished list of services includes being U.S. Ambassador to Genoa Expo 92, Chairman of the Netherlands American Bicentenniary Commission, a sponsor with Amway of the European tour of the National Symphony Orchestra under the baton of Mitzlav Rostropovich, and Chairman of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. But he's never forgotten his hometown. His leadership is behind the Right Place program and its success in job creation and retention in Grand Rapids, and countless fundraisers and events to benefit his community.
You can go to Betty and Jay and say, we have this dream, in my case with the opera company, and we think it can work in Grand Rapids, and we need your support. And they never come at it negatively. They never say, why are you here? It's always, well, what can we do? How can we help? And all they asked is, if we do this, will it make a difference? And of course it does. It always does, and it always will.
And Jay and Betty came forward very early in the history of the Public Museums program, saw the need for a new museum building, and stuck with the museum through all of the difficult and stressful times in which we were putting together the rationale for the project.
Without their lead gift of $3 million, we would never have been able to reach the goal. It made all the difference.
The Van Andel Museum Center will stand for decades as a tribute to their compassion, and in turn, they have received the joy of knowing they have made a difference. By the way, Jay and Betty would be the first to add this thought. You don't have to be wealthy or powerful or brilliant to make a lasting impact on your world. Just be willing to use what you have. And in the process of helping others, your life will be enriched as well. Jay and Betty Van Andel are living proof of this promise by Jesus. Give, and it shall be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over.
We believe that when we share our time,
money, and experience to help others, we complete the circle of love.
That leads to our own personal fulfillment and prosperity.
Therefore, whenever you grow weary of well-doing, remember the law of compensation.
If you sow enough seed, you will reap a great harvest. Because in the long haul,
every gift, time, money, or energy that you give will return to benefit you.
Hello, I'm Helen DeVos. Before Rich and I were married and I began teaching school for $2,200 a year, I had a little white envelope. Every other week when my paycheck arrived, 10% of it went into that little white envelope. Having been raised in a Christian home, I had come to believe that that money was not mine to keep, but to be given back to be used for others as God led me to use it. When Rich and I married, the little white envelope became part of our life together, and $15 of the $150 he brought home weekly went into it. We gave it willingly, thankfully, and even joyfully. And you know, we never missed it. We always had enough for our needs. As time went by, we were blessed with increasing wealth far beyond any dreams we may have had. Why, we asked? Why us? Only God who gave it knows. But we still know it's not all ours to keep. So all along the way, along with the giving of funds, we've tried also to give of our time and our talents. We don't give anything expecting to receive something in kind in return. That isn't giving, it's just trading. But to help where there's a need, to see our gifts used and multiplied to the glory of God, what a deep down joy we feel. What a feeling of love is generated. What sheer fun it can be. These to me are the unexpected but blessed treasures of giving.
Faith
We've talked about the things we believe. We've talked about believing that you're creative. We've talked about dreaming your own dream and setting your own goals. We've talked about understanding money, understanding the basic system of free enterprise, understanding giving. We've talked about compassion for our fellow man, the people on the planet, and for the planet itself. We've talked about the most interesting part of compassion, that when you give, you also get. So now there's only one thing left. It's decision time. We stand at a very important spot in history. And we need people to join us on an exciting personal journey. Will you become a compassionate capitalist? Will you take your life in your own hands? Will you take the future of the world in your hands? Will you take the step to make a better living and then make a better life? Will you join me in becoming a compassionate capitalist?